And first and foremost, I wanted to thank all of you for being here. I know coming out to Salem, now that it's especially sunny suddenly outside, must be a bit difficult. But I also wanted to drop in a couple of really quick points. Most impacted communities across the state are low-income communities and communities of color often aren't able to make it to these meetings, aren't able to make it down to Salem, make it down to legislative town halls. And so for those of us who are able to be here, we do have the additional responsibility, and I think we can handle it today pretty well, of representing people who can't be here and making sure that the legislators we speak to, legislators we deliver information to, are aware of the sheer quantity of people who are concerned about this issue, who are impacted by this issue, and most critically are disproportionately impacted by this issue, who aren't able to be here because of their commitments to work and their families. Also, a really special shout out to all of the youth that are here. We really appreciate students coming here. We appreciate teachers who bring their students. Because while there is a bit of a running joke that civics is no longer a thing that is taught, it is really important to have people be engaged in this legislative fight from a younger age. So we have people, by the time they come into their own as adults and are working on these issues, they know how things work, they know how to get things done, and so we can honestly only build a better future and a more efficient legislative work method if we have young people involved. So thank you so much for being here and being very patient. And you can also give yourselves a round of applause. It's totally okay.
I actually do have to add one thing, which is the youth are citizens right now. The youth have voices right now. They're not practicing to be advocates. They are advocates, and they have their own minds. And so it's not just preparing for the future. They are the present.
Right.
Well, and the people who are going to be the most impacted if we don't start fixing our problems.
Right. And so on that note, because I've had a couple of youth in the past that we've worked with who have noted, it's a great point, thank you. They're like, well, I can't vote, or I'm not old enough. Your legislators are your legislators, and it is their responsibility to listen to you. You have the power of your voice. Don't be afraid, feel free to use it, don't be afraid of using it. So on that note, I'll go really quickly through the schedule in terms of talking points. So Tori talked about splitting folks up into groups. We do have a few legislative appointments, and if you fall within those legislative appointments, you will be put within those groups, because we do want you to talk to your legislators. For everyone else, we will be splitting up into smaller groups and getting you through the offices and delivering Valentines. Even if a specific legislator does not have a meeting on schedule, we still want them to know that you are here and you care about this issue, and they will have to listen. So quick talking points. One is protecting the public. The reason we're really pushing for this is that Oregonians are affected by air pollution. Our cardiovascular, our pulmonary systems are affected, and it's a responsibility of our legislators to protect the health of their constituents, plain and simple. Funding to EQ. Cleaner Oregon is more than just about the program Cleaner Oregon and funding that. It is really critically about having a resourced and staffed environmental agency that is capable of protecting us, not just from air quality, but in terms of other environmental concerns such as water as well. Environmental justice, I touched upon this earlier, but I touch it upon it again because it is so important. Not everyone breathes the same air. People of color and low-income communities breathe worse air. That's just statistically true. And for example, a recent study was just conducted that if you are Black, you are 3 times more likely to die of air pollution-related cardiovascular and pulmonary stresses than if you are white. So once again, the collective responsibility that we have in this room of representing voices that aren't here today. And critically, as my colleague Tori touched upon earlier, it's not just today that matters, it's having your voice heard on a regular basis. So we will also be sending out communication updates based on how these bills change. Because my feelings on this bill has changed from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. to 7 a.m. and then now 9 a.m. So some of this printed material might be outdated by noon. So I just hope that's okay. But we will be sending out updated information after we get the appropriate material today. And we would love for you to share that with your coworkers, your friends, your families, and have them call their legislators, because this is incredibly important.
Can I, because while you finish talking, so also we are potentially scheduled to see Governor Brown today, and we have a Valentine's for Governor Brown to thank her for the Clean Air Oregon program. And so I know this went around the Lincoln High School, but if anybody else hasn't had a chance to sign this, we'd love to have you guys put your name on it. So carry on.
Perfect. I'm just wrapping up. That is a giant card, and we would love to have all of your signatures on it. Last but not least, diesel. Adam Burnell touched on this. There is a diesel bill that is on the House floor, House Bill 4003. There was a hearing scheduled for it. Representative Nose was pretty hell-bent on getting a hearing for it to keep that bill alive, because diesel is another issue that we're going to have to come back next year and fight for. And last but not least, we would love for you to take as many pictures of yourselves and of everyone else who is here, and specifically use the hashtags WeAllBreathe, Fight for Clean Air, and Fund DEQ. Whatever social media you all use, we would love for the message to spread. I'm sure there's some that I've developed in the past week that I am now officially too old to even know how they work.
Do we get a prize for best selfie? Do we get a prize for best selfie?
Yes.
You will get a prize for best
T-shirt.
selfie. And then afterwards you can thank Maria if you do get that prize, because she just brought that up.
I have a prize, but just saying.
No, we'll get you a prize. It'll happen somehow, but we'll do it. So last but not least, any questions?
Before we start getting out of here and splitting up into groups?